Hi, I'm Gail Minogue. Thanks for watching. As we all know, the world is going through this pandemic of coronavirus, being introduced to a new virus, which is very old for the world. We've had viruses and pandemics. In fact, I have an entire list of, since going back to 165 AD, of all the pandemics, of plagues, Spanish flu, Asian flu, Hong Kong flu, MERS, blah, blah, on. And now we have the coronavirus or COVID-19. So this is not new, it's just new to us at this stage of our development. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on that if you know me from my previous YouTube videos, I will tell you that everything is really controlled by the heavens and the heavenly transits that go on. Remember, there is a grid, and there is a grid, numeric grid, that everything fits in, and then there's these transiting planets that move inside this. And as they transit, events happen on Earth. Events actually happen in the universe, in the galaxy, whatever you want to say. So this is really due to planetary transits. And it was really pretty much launched that you would notice it in January. And it had to do with Pluto and Jupiter and Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn, and pretty heavy-duty stuff. But the other part that is not aware is it was going through a lot of temporary energy in the sign of Gemini. And Gemini rules the air, it's an air sign, and Gemini also rules the lungs. So when this, what we'll call malevolent transit hit, this is the area it was going to hit. It was going to hit the lungs, and it was going to hit, it would be arriving by air. And so how long does this transit officially last? Well, officially it's the end of the year, December, but the heavy duty in Gemini starts to get out in September, around the 24th of September. So you're going to see, just as you're seeing, a rise in the numbers, and I want you to not look at the news all the time. Stop it, because it's going to keep scaring you. It's 24 hours of negativity and deaths and how many and what we're short of, because nobody really planned on this very well. And what it's doing to you and for me is showing where all the shortcomings are of the world society and how it works together and what it values. Now, one of the reasons that this hit in Italy so hard is Italy is under the sign of Gemini. Each country has a sign. This country, United States, is a sign of Cancer. So if it had a prevalent Gemini, it would have hit harder. Actually, it has a prominent Gemini in its birth chart. So the United States has to be very careful it doesn't go the way of Italy, and it keeps referring to Italy's situation, but this is why it hit so hard Italy right away. And now you're going to see the same thing go on, but we have now awareness of what to do, hunker down, stay locked down, as they say. I'm in California, where it's one of the first ones that locked us down, and that will continue a few months, and we need to pay attention to that and do the distance and do the practical things. Wash your hands and stay so many feet away and wear the mask and wear the gloves and separate. Because the reason the Spanish flu was so devastating, it did not do these things, and it wiped out. I think I can't remember, on the Spanish flu, in my list of things, yeah, it killed 650,000 Americans. And I think it was about 50 million people worldwide, and 650,000 Americans. So that was a pretty heavy-duty flu, and people just went on with their lives they didn't know. But now we know. And so we are doing the smart things up front. We know more about viruses. Viruses are not going away. They've been with us forever. In fact, if we didn't have viruses, we couldn't have evolved, physically evolved. We need these viruses to help us step up, say, a combination of factors for the biology of the body, and they're always going to be here. So we need to know, how do we do a better system for the humans, okay? And our value system. So it's showing you the value system, where all the weaknesses are and what the people value. And so you're going to hear again all this negativity. It's going to get worse because you're going to hear numbers as we finally test more in the United States. It's been really, really slow in testing and so unprepared and kind of scattered. And so you're going to have more testing. You're going to have more people coming down with it because you're testing now. You're going to have it rise probably all through April, all through May, go into June, and then you should see as it collects, the same thing happening. It rises, begins to level, and then finally fades, and finally be out of here by December. But you start to see that, I think that fini, as they say, that it will start to fade out in the later part of September. It seems like a long time, it is really. You need to stop paying attention to stupid emotional stuff and use your common sense. Listen to the scientists and not to the what we'll call the talking heads. The people who have opinions. Let's listen to the scientific facts, the data, reliable sources, not people who are talking heads or have an axe to grind or want to promote their political agenda, which is what's going on. A lot of political agenda is being promoted now because there's an election coming up in November. So we want to watch, pay attention, and then stop watching all the other garbage and go on with your life as best you can and hunker down, as you know. So this is a period of time where, I could go back in history and they have everything from the plague of Justinian to the Antoine plague in 165 AD, to the Asian flu in 1957, and to the 1968 Hong Kong flu. I remember getting that. I thought I was going to die, and then I was afraid I wouldn't. I was so sick. And then you have the SARS, and you have all these other MARS. They have a lot of things, it's interesting enough, that are connected to animals. Animals. Why is that? Why do so many things come from originally an animal? Well, I think we have to take a look at what are we doing? What are we doing to the ecology? What are we doing with our animals? You go to an open market and all these animals are there for you to slaughter, and they're all odd animals. Why is one pooping on the cage beneath it? You're trying to think of how are we doing this? What are we doing? We're marginalizing the natural world. So when we marginalize the natural world, we do pay a price. And, we birth something we can't handle. And so now we're understanding how important certain characteristics of our society really are. And I mean by that, the janitor, the people who are the grocery clerks, the people who make the deliveries, these people that were marginalized, not paid well, not taken care of well, and how much that costs us to have ignored and dismissed them. So there's a lot going on. It's going to change the culture for a very long time. Even when this ends, you're going to see that the culture will not return back to normal. You think it will not. You have a society that is going to change from this. A world society, and the United States a national society. Because when this transit's over, and a lot of this garbage is going to be out of the chart, it's going to, the heavens move completely. It's like they're in room 22. They're going to room into room 33, the first of the year. And this crap, shall we say, the damage has been done, now the recovery, and it's very different than what it was. Financially, economically, socially, religious. Right now, that's my gardener. He's going to be blowing, you're going to hear him on the side of your machine, that's my gardener blowing the driveway. And thank God, he's outside and we don't have to deal with any danger to him or to me and all that. But anyway, these societal changes are going to be in effect. We're not all going to run out and go join and do and group ourselves like we did. That's going to take a time before we get back to normal, whatever that was. But there's a new normal coming in, and it actually begins the very last week of December. So you want to rejoice. This thing is not going to last forever, so get on with your life as best you can at home. Stop looking at these figures because they're going to scare you for the next few months. The actual death rate will be low, and it will be, if you have to always think of the percentages where in the plague took 60% of the people who got it died. So we're further advanced. Right now we're maybe at 2% of those who are diagnosed will catch it. I mean, will die from it. So most people will not get into that situation. So I don't want you to scare yourself anymore. And just pay attention. This is going to pass. These are the months it's going to keep rising. They're going to tell you figures that'll scare you, scare your eyebrows off. Stop worrying about it. It's going to happen. It's coming. Let it go. Let it be. Get on with your life and calm down and keep your center as best you can. Breathe, do whatever you think. One of the things that's shutting down, which I find remarkable too, even though it's against a lot of people's grain, is the religious meetings that cannot take place in churches, temples, and mosques. And what you're going to find out, the effect of that is, well, gee whiz, I was able to connect with God without going to the mosque, without going to the temple, without going to church. I was still able to connect with God. And so you're going to find, again, that continual shift away from religions, which is part of the Aquarian age. That's going to continue to go on, further and further away from religion. And if I was a person who had an office building, I'd be nervous, because more people are going to be working when this is over from their home. So this is just sort of a segment, and I wanted to make sure that we just got that out. Get out of fear. It's always going, fear sells better than anything right now. Fear is what's selling. So you want good news, you're going to have to change the channel, watch a movie, read a good book, go for a walk, because when you turn on the news, it's going to be fear that is promoting. So thanks again for listening. If you want to get in touch with me, it's gailminogue.com. Thank you so much.